the Sport International Basketball Channel series, The Blueprint About Playing Basketball Overseas.
My first video is about timing. What should you do when? 28 more videos will explain all other necessary steps to become a pro overseas. At a certain point, you need to decide whether the chance of success as a basketball pro is worth the risk of not pursuing a more conventional path. It is rough leaving college and commit yourself to your next steps, which could influence many years of your future life. With this video, I want to explain you the general conditions to enable you to find the right time and reasons for your decisions. Is there a perfect timing? In general, yes. The sooner you're on the market, the higher is the chance to get the interest of a team. But there are variables which can influence this decision. Next, I unfold what impacts the timing. First, your background. Which level of basketball did you play so far? Second, the NBA draft date and aiming for a G League contract. Third, when do the leagues around the globe start and end? Fourth, what do budgets have to do with timing? Fifth, the impact of the player's market. Sixth, the recruiting strategies of the teams. And the last one, until when can teams sign players? All of this information will enable you to judge the time frames when or when not to expect a contract. Let's start with your background. With only JUCO and high school experience, you will have to be extremely active and get known first. Your focus will be to try everything and this continuously to get a chance. These three schools are virtually unknown overseas. You have to get started as soon as possible with your marketing. You will need exceptional endurance and resilience. Canadian U Sports and CCAA are not as well known as the NCAA. Therefore, it is important to be ready to explain to these clubs the level that you played. The best is to have a video playing against the NCAA team. Your timing need to match those of the equivalent NCAA players. The NAIA is also not well known and could be compared to the NCAA 2. The NCAA 2 is not getting the attention it deserves. You need to get active in March with your marketing. The NCAA 1 is well known and the higher league teams are following your games and your career. The top players get contacted and need to find the best agents and advisors for them in April. All other players need to have their package done in April. I will cover more details in later videos. The G League normally ends in April. Therefore, the timing has to match those of the equivalent NCAA 1 players. Next, I want to cover the impact of the NBA draft and the G League. The draft was normally in June and has moved to a later time of the year, impacted by the COVID pandemic. If you are a draft candidate, you will have no negative impact if you wait until the draft is over to get on an overseas team. But it does not hurt to take a two-pronged approach. If you intend to obtain a contract with the G League team, you need to consider the preseason G League schedule shown on this slide until end of November and the start of the league in December. This causes a timing dilemma for those who build on getting a G League contract, because the main overseas recruiting period has long ended. At the end of the season or right afterwards, all European teams start their recruiting, depending on the league from April up to June, with the final phase in September-October. These long 5 months are very nerve-wracking time for many players. At first, the European teams sign their most important players, league leaders and players that take up the largest part of the team's budget. This is the best time for a player to get signed for a big contract in Europe. The next recruiting phase starts end of December until the end of February. When Players who do not perform at the expected level get exchanged. Please consider that different leagues have different deadlines by when they can hire new players. This time span is overlapping with the phase when the Australian and New Zealand clubs start their recruiting. The EuroLeague is from September to May. All teams play parallel in their country's highest leagues. Sometimes in Latin America, they have 2 seasons with a 3-month period. There are also leagues which are 8 months long. Therefore, you can say that the duration of these leagues vary a lot. The majority are from September to May and added by some summer leagues. The Asian leagues are similar. Just to name 2 interesting leagues, first Japan, they start end of September, beginning October until June. And the other interesting league is Korea, which starts in December until May. Overall, the season beginning and end are driven by the international FIBA competitions and Olympic Games. These are during the summer-autumn breaks when the national players play. Other spring-summer leagues are offered in Canada, Dominican Republic, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Australia, New Zealand, and Latin America. This is your second big chance to get signed. The next subject I would like to cover is the budget of the clubs. All teams are in heavy need of sponsors, donors, marketing income, TV income, entrance fees, TV fees, and online marketing. You can probably guess this is not an easy undertaking, especially during the COVID timeframe. You might ask, what does it has to do with my timing, with my chances? A lot. Many teams do not have their final budget until the preseason has already started. Therefore, they show interest into players at an early time, but never offer a contract until they have the matching budget. It would be end of September. This means last-minute contracts, even during the preseason or right before the first game. Number 5, the impact of the player's market to your chances and your timing. For most, a no-brainer. There are not enough openings to get everybody a contract. It's a competition. The best prepared having the best chances. This leads to another important point: recruiting strategies of the teams. I mentioned earlier that the teams starts to recruit their most wanted first. Driven by regulation, these are normally the local players and the players that they would like to keep for the next season. Next is those players that are on their wish list which they desperately want. After those players are hired, the European players and the players with the Cotonou status will be hired. The goal is to have about 8 players signed during the spring and summer months. At the end of summer and after the NBA draft, there are again many good players on the market who hoped to get drafted by the NBA. And the teams will fill the next 2 spots with these players. Right before the season, they will hire the so-called special offers. Players who have not received a contract so far and are willing to sign for a lot less money than a few months ago. 1 or 2 spots will be kept open to enable the team to react during the season to correct deficiencies which have emerged over the course of the first few games. The time frames which I have covered so far are limited by another restriction: the last day when the teams are allowed to sign new players. This is a subject on its own, and to be answered would require another sophisticated analysis. There are so many rules and changes every year which lead to a need of an individual time-specific answer, which I can't give in a video which is playing year-round. But I have a guidance for you. The first cutoff times in Europe are at the beginning of January lies. And the higher the league, the further in the future this point in time lies. The perfect timing when recruiting happens cannot be planned nor anticipated. There are too many variations or situations. The best is to do an early and active marketing in as many countries as possible to increase your chances for a pro contract.
If you are missing some information, please write a note in the below comment section. I will summarize these questions to subjects and prepare a question and answer video at the end of the series.